It was Thanksgiving Eve in Maplewood, and the air was filled with the scent of cinnamon and pumpkin spice. The Johnson family had just finished their preparations for the big day when they received an unexpected visitor. A stranger, dressed in tattered clothes and reeking of decay, stumbled onto their doorstep, muttering incomprehensibly about the woods. The Johnsons, good Samaritans that they were, invited the stranger in, offering him a warm meal and a place by their hearth. But as the night wore on and the stranger's ramblings grew more frenzied, the Johnsons began to regret their hospitality. Suddenly, with a blood-curdling scream, the stranger bolted from his seat and dashed out into the night, disappearing into the dense forest beyond. The Johnsons, shaken but relieved, locked their doors and tried to put the strange encounter out of their minds. But when Thanksgiving morning dawned, their youngest son, Tommy, was nowhere to be found. The Johnsons searched high and low, but there was no sign of him anywhere. All that remained was a set of tiny footprints leading into the woods, vanishing without a trace. Meanwhile, in the heart of the forest, a different kind of Thanksgiving was unfolding. Deep within the ancient groves, a coven of witches known as the Harvesters prepared for their annual feast. For centuries, they had lurked in the shadows, offering sacrifices to the dark forces that dwelled within the woods. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest floor, the Harvesters emerged from their hidden lair, their faces twisted with anticipation. Led by their enigmatic high priestess, they stalked through the trees, searching for the perfect offering to appease their unholy masters. And as luck would have it, they found it in the form of young Tommy Johnson, lost and alone in the heart of the forest. With a wicked grin, the high priestess whispered incantations that bound Tommy to their will, leading him deeper into the woods and sealing his fate as the centerpiece of their twisted feast. As night fell over Maplewood, a sense of unease settled over the town. Rumors of Tommy's disappearance spread like wildfire, igniting fear and suspicion in the hearts of its inhabitants. But amidst the chaos, one person remained eerily calm: Sarah, Tommy's older sister. Driven by a gnawing sense of dread, Sarah ventured into the woods alone, determined to uncover the truth behind her brother's disappearance. Guided by a strange intuition, she followed the winding paths deeper into the heart of the forest, until she stumbled upon a clearing bathed in moonlight. There she witnessed a sight that chilled her to the bone. The Harvesters gathered around a blazing bonfire, chanting in unison as they prepared to sacrifice her brother to their dark gods. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah sprang into action, confronting the high priestess and demanding the return of her brother. But the Harvesters were not so easily swayed. With a flick of her wrist, the high priestess cast a powerful spell, ensnaring Sarah in a web of shadows and dragging her towards the sacrificial altar. As the flames licked at her feet and the chanting reached a fever pitch, Sarah closed her eyes and prayed for deliverance. Just as all hope seemed lost, a figure emerged from the darkness, wielding a gleaming blade that shimmered in the firelight. It was Mr. Johnson, Tommy and Sarah's father, his eyes blazing with righteous fury as he confronted the Harvesters and demanded the release of his children. With a defiant roar, he lunged at the high priestess, his blade slicing through the air with deadly precision. The Harvesters recoiled in shock, their dark magic faltering as Mr. Johnson fought tooth and nail to free his family from their clutches. But the Harvesters were not so easily defeated. With a final surge of strength, they unleashed their full power upon Mr. Johnson, casting him into the flames and sealing his fate as the ultimate sacrifice to their dark masters. In the chaos that followed, Sarah and Tommy broke free from their bonds, their hearts pounding with terror as they fled into the night. Behind them, the forest erupted into a cacophony of screams and wails, the echoes of ancient evils unleashed upon the world once more. And as the first light of dawn broke over Maplewood, the town lay silent and still, its streets empty and its secrets buried beneath a shroud of darkness that would haunt its inhabitants for generations to come. Years passed since the Johnson family's harrowing encounter with the Harvesters. Maplewood had returned to its semblance of normalcy, but the memory of that fateful Thanksgiving lingered like a shadow over the town. Sarah and Tommy grew up haunted by the nightmares of that night, their once innocent childhood tainted by the horrors they had witnessed. They vowed never to speak of what they had seen, burying their trauma deep within their hearts and trying to move on with their lives. But the past has a way of resurfacing when least expected. As Thanksgiving approached once again, strange occurrences began to plague Maplewood. Shadows danced at the edge of vision, whispers echoed through empty streets, and the air grew thick with a sense of foreboding. Sarah and Tommy, now young adults, found themselves drawn back to the forest that had claimed so much from them. Ignoring the warnings of their friends and neighbors, they ventured deep into the heart of the woods, determined to confront the darkness that still lurked within. As they walked, memories of that fateful night flooded back with chilling clarity. The sound of their father's screams, the sight of the harvesters gathered around the bonfire, the taste of fear that lingered on their tongues like bile. But amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of hope, for Sarah and Tommy had not journeyed alone. With them was a group of brave souls, friends and allies who had sworn to stand by their side no matter the cost. Together, they ventured deeper into the forest, their hearts pounding with anticipation and dread. And as they reached the clearing where their nightmare had begun, they knew that they had finally come face to face with the source of Maplewood's darkest secrets. The harvesters awaited them, their faces obscured by shadow as they stood before the blazing bonfire, their eyes gleaming with malice. But Sarah and Tommy refused to back down, their determination burning bright as they confronted the dark forces that had plagued their lives for so long. With a cry of defiance, they charged at the harvesters, their friends close behind them. The air crackled with magic as spells were cast and blades clashed, the forest erupting into chaos as the battle raged on. But the harvesters were not so easily defeated. With each blow, they grew stronger, their dark magic pulsing through the air like a malevolent storm. And as the tide turned against them, Sarah and Tommy realized that they were fighting a losing battle. But just when all hope seemed lost, a voice rang out through the darkness, cutting through the chaos like a beacon of light. It was their father, his spirit bound to the forest, but his love for his children undiminished. With a surge of newfound strength, Sarah and Tommy rallied their allies, their hearts ablaze with determination as they faced down the harvesters one final time. And as the first light of dawn broke over Maplewood, the darkness that had plagued the town for so long was banished once and for all, its hold over the forest broken by the power of love and sacrifice. In the aftermath of the battle, Maplewood slowly began to heal. The whispers of the past faded into memory, replaced by a newfound sense of hope and resilience. Sarah and Tommy, now heroes in the eyes of their fellow townsfolk, vowed to protect Maplewood from any threat that dared to threaten its peace. But as the years passed and the memories of that fateful Thanksgiving grew distant, there were those who wondered if the darkness that had once haunted Maplewood would return once again. For in the heart of rural America, where the cornfields stretch endlessly and the woods harbor secrets older than memory, there are some truths that can never be buried. And so, as Thanksgiving approached once again, the people of Maplewood gathered together, their hearts filled with gratitude for the blessings they had been given and their minds wary of the horrors that still lurked just beyond the edge of the forest. For in the end, they knew that the true spirit of Thanksgiving lay not in feasting or merriment, but in the strength of their bonds and the courage to face whatever darkness may come. And as they raised their glasses in a toast to the future, they knew that no matter what trials may lie ahead, they would face them together, united as one against the shadows that lurked in the night.